Dylan Hart and Aarushi Malhotra seemed like the perfect couple, an American resort tycoon and an acclaimed Indian filmmaker living a dream life in the paradise of Bora Bora. But behind the luxury villas and Instagram-perfect sunsets, a deadly secret was waiting to surface, one that would turn their fairy tale marriage into a chilling tale of betrayal, greed, and murder. Dylan Hart grew up believing that life was meant to be luxurious and dramatic. He was raised in a wealthy family in California, surrounded by private schools and celebrity parties, and he always felt the world owed him another success. When he finished college, he decided to do something different instead of joining the family business. He bought a small failing resort on a private island in Bora Bora and rebuilt it into a glamorous destination. He invested in glass-bottom villas, underwater dining lounges, and helicopter arrivals. Within a few years, his resort became famous among millionaires and influencers. His brand was built on exclusivity, and he enjoyed the image of being the young resort tycoon who lived the dream. Aarushi Malhotra lived a very different life before she met him. She was born in Mumbai to a middle-class family that valued creativity and hard work more than money. She had spent years filming documentaries about environmental protection and disappearing marine habitats. Her name was well known in film festivals because she focused on real-world stories instead of entertainment. Her passion for the ocean was what led her to Bora Bora for an assignment on coral conservation. That was when everything changed for her. Their first meeting became a viral story on social media. Dylan visited the coral research boat where Aarushi was filming. People captured photos of the moment they shook hands for the first time. Their connection seemed natural and powerful. They came from different countries, different lifestyles, and different dreams, but somehow they fit into each other's world like a perfect match. Their relationship grew faster than anyone expected. Journalists wrote articles about the unexpected romance between the resort owner and the documentary filmmaker. Their photos appeared on travel magazines, wedding blogs, and celebrity pages. Every detail of their relationship was celebrated online like a fairy tale story. When they got married on Dylan's resort, everything about the ceremony reflected luxury. Floating roses covered the ocean surface. Fireworks exploded above the lagoon. Guests arrived by private yachts. Aarushi walked across a glass walkway above the water, and photographers recorded every moment. There were no arguments, no doubts, and no warning signs. It looked like the kind of perfect marriage that people dream about but rarely achieve. Even the staff believed they were witnessing the beginning of a legendary love story. After the wedding, Aarushi moved into Dylan's private villa. She became a part of his business, and he encouraged her involvement. She created new marketing campaigns for the resort and filmed promotional videos that attracted global travelers. Reservations filled up every week, and tourism companies offered partnership deals. Dylan told everyone she was the reason business had doubled. They hosted celebrity guests, private events, and exclusive retreats. People watched them with admiration because they seemed unstoppable as a couple. But while everything looked flawless from the outside, small problems began showing up. Aarushi noticed things that didn't make sense. Inventory reports were edited in strange ways. Some resort zones were marked as restricted even for staff. Dylan frequently held late-night meetings that were not listed in the schedule. Aarushi asked small questions, but instead of answers, she only received unexplained silence. These were the first quiet cracks that formed in the picture. Perfect marriage. She did not panic or confront anyone. Instead, she continued smiling in public and behaving like a devoted wife. But a growing feeling inside her told her that something dangerous existed beneath the glamorous surface. Without telling anyone, she slowly began preparing to uncover the truth. Aarushi's curiosity didn't start with suspicion. It started with her filmmaker instinct. She had been trained to observe details others ignored. When she filmed environmental documentaries, she learned to follow stories that were hidden beneath the surface. At first, she told herself the strange behavior at the resort was probably just normal business pressure. An operation that large required secrecy and responsibility, but the more she researched, the stronger her instincts pulled her towards something darker. The first real clue appeared during a late-night editing session. She was reviewing footage she had taken for a promotional video when she noticed something unusual in the background. Boxes were being transported through an area of the resort that was always locked during the day. The staff handled the cargo with unusual care, and the labels were coded rather than written in standard delivery format. She zoomed into the footage, enhanced the color, and analyzed the writing. The boxes were marked with scientific names of rare coral species that were illegal to harvest, trade, or export. She saved the footage but shared it with no one. Curiosity turned into silent investigation. Aarushi began walking through forbidden areas at night with her camera. She learned the resort's layout, which cameras rotated and which stayed static, and how long the security guards stayed at each post. She never raised suspicion because she blended in effortlessly. Staff respected her because she treated them kindly and didn't act superior. She listened, observed, and waited for the right moment. Her discoveries continued growing in significance. She overheard conversations between suppliers and managers about secret deliveries arriving from restricted marine zones. She saw financial ledgers stored in a password-protected folder on the resort's internal network. She copied the files and studied the numbers. They showed a separate flow of money that did not appear anywhere in official reports. The transactions were large and frequent, and they came from countries known for black market ocean trade. The resort was not just a business, it was a front for a hidden operation. The recordings became Aarushi's most powerful weapon. She placed small audio recorders in rooms where meetings were held. She recorded phone calls and copied emails. She stored everything on multiple backup devices hidden in different places around the resort. Her confidence grew because she realized she had collected evidence strong enough to expose the truth. But she also understood she was stepping deeper into something dangerous. If anyone discovered her secret investigation, she could not predict what would happen next. At the same time, her behavior began changing. She worked longer hours alone and spent more time in the administrative wing. She avoided personal conversations and withdrew from social events. She wasn't afraid of Dylan yet, but she sensed that his world was different from what he showed publicly. He became increasingly distracted at night, and his stress seemed heavier. The more she learned, the more she realized his empire was built on illegal activity, disguised as luxury tourism. She wondered how many people were involved, and how many were willing to protect the secret at any cost. Aarushi never planned to expose him immediately. She wanted a complete picture of the crime network, from suppliers to exporters. She envisioned her most important documentary, the one that could change international policies and protect endangered ocean life. She never imagined that her pursuit of truth would also become a threat to her own life. She continued collecting evidence while the paradise around her kept pretending to be perfect. Dylan never imagined his wife would become a danger to the life he had carefully constructed. In the early days of their marriage, he saw Aarushi as his partner, his public image, and a symbol of his success. He had chosen her not only for love, but also because she brought credibility to his resort. Having a respected environmental filmmaker by his side protected his illegal activities without anyone suspecting. So when he first sensed her distant behavior, he didn't immediately think of betrayal. He assumed she was adjusting to the new environment, busy with her filming, or simply tired from the pressure of celebrity attention. But small things began bothering him. Staff members whispered about her exploring areas she shouldn't. He noticed her laptop was always locked. She avoided discussing details about her filming schedules. Dylan's instincts, shaped from years of hiding the truth, woke up. He started paying attention. He began watching her movements more closely. Every day, she appeared more calculated and cautious. A strange fear started forming in his mind, a fear that someone he trusted might have begun peeling back the layers of his secrets. The moment he found the first recording was accidental. He returned early from a business meeting and entered Aarushi's private workspace. She wasn't there. A memory card slipped out of her backpack pocket and fell onto the floor. He picked it up without thinking. At first, he assumed it was ordinary footage or resort content. When he inserted it into the computer and pressed play, his entire world changed. The audio revealed conversations between his employees about transporting coral through illegal channels. His voice appeared in one of the clips, giving instructions for shipment schedules and hidden docks. He paused the playback and sat in complete disbelief. His heart pounded as he realized Aarushi had recorded him. It wasn't a misunderstanding or a single accidental file. She had been documenting everything. Dylan opened her desk drawers and found more equipment, multiple backup drives, a camera card labeled with coded dates, and a notebook with handwritten notes about the illegal operation. It wasn't just business information. It was evidence that could get him arrested and destroy everything he had built. He felt betrayed in a way he had never experienced. He also felt cornered. He kept searching and eventually found messages she had drafted but not sent. One was addressed to an investigative journalist in Los Angeles. She planned to reveal the story during an upcoming event where global media was expected. The evidence wasn't only threatening his business. It threatened the identity he built, the power he held, and the empire he protected. Dylan sat in silence for a long time. His anger grew slowly, like a storm forming in the distance. At first, he tried to think logically. He considered confronting her and asking about her intentions. But the more he thought, the more he realized that images, recordings, and documents had already escaped his control. Even if he destroyed them, the motivation behind her actions had already taken shape. She didn't trust him. She didn't believe in his marriage. She wasn't just a wife anymore. She was the only person who knew the full truth. In his mind, there was no room for negotiation. The evidence was too strong, the risk too high. His business relied on silence and secrecy. If she continued, he would lose everything. If he tried to fix the problem peacefully, she might still expose him or find another way to reveal the truth. Dylan walked out of the office with the memory card in his pocket. He knew what he needed to do, and he knew the decision could not be delayed. Each step he took away from the room felt like a step away from the life he had presented to the world. He had crossed from fear into action. A plan began forming, driven not by love but by survival. Dylan spent the next 24 hours planning every detail. He did not allow emotion to cloud his judgment. Every decision was a calculation. He began by creating a believable scenario that could explain Aarushi's disappearance if anything went wrong. He requested maintenance checks near the lagoon cottage and ordered the security team to disable cameras in that area for technical testing. He reassigned the evening shift for 2 guards and sent the rest to help prepare a VIP arrival the next morning. He arranged everything so the resort seemed busy, but also unsupervised at the edges. When the sun began to set, Dylan asked Aarushi to join him for a private dinner near the shore. She agreed without hesitation. She had spent days collecting evidence and finalizing her plan, but she did not expect her husband had already discovered her secret. She had no reason to fear him yet. The evening was calm. The ocean reflected the orange and purple colors of the sky, and the resort staff prepared a special meal for them away from the guests. Everything looked normal. Dylan kept his conversations gentle and casual. He did not hint at what he knew. He wanted her to feel comfortable and unaware of what was coming. They spent a little time near the beach before he suggested visiting the remote lagoon cottage. He said it needed ideas for renovation, and he wanted her creative input. The cottage sat on the far side of the resort, surrounded by palm trees and hidden from most pathways. It was quiet, untouched, and isolated. It was perfect. Inside, the air smelled of sea salt and fresh paint. The room was still under construction, with unfinished floors and loose wires hanging from the ceiling. The silence felt heavy. This was when Dylan confronted Aarushi, not with anger or loud accusations, but with cold certainty. He showed her the memory card in his hand. Aarushi immediately understood what happened. She knew the recordings were exposed. She knew she underestimated the danger. She tried to reason with him and explain her motives, but Dylan had already made his decision long before they stood there. Her words meant nothing now. His choice was not based on emotions or betrayal. It was based on self-preservation. He saw her as the one person capable of destroying him and everything he had built. He was not willing to allow that. He moved quickly and without hesitation. The struggle lasted only moments. Out on the dark water, the tide pulled at the shoreline. Dylan dragged her body to the reef, letting the current carry her away from the cottage. He waited until the moon rose high, making sure no boat was nearby and no staff was watching. The ocean swallowed the evidence slowly. He returned to the resort with wet clothes and a calm face. He acted the part of a concerned husband in distress. He reported her missing, claiming she had gone for a late-night kayak ride and never returned. The staff started searching immediately. Flashlights moved across the water. Boats left the dock. Guests gathered in confusion. Hours later, the worst fear came true when her body appeared near the reef. The official conclusion was drowning. It was a believable explanation in a place surrounded by unpredictable sea currents. The world accepted the story. No one questioned him. The island returned to its perfect silence while Dylan believed he had buried the truth forever. The following weeks were quiet, and for a brief moment Dylan believed he had controlled everything. His lawyers handled the news coverage, the resort resumed its normal operations, and the investigation ended almost as quickly as it began. The police declared it a tragic accident. Tourists offered sympathies. Online articles described Aarushi as another unfortunate victim of ocean currents, and condolences arrived from around the world. Dylan became the grieving husband who returned to work while hiding his sorrow. His image didn't suffer. His empire remained steady. For the first time since finding Aarushi's recordings, he allowed himself to relax. But the truth had not disappeared with her body. The evidence she spent weeks gathering had already traveled farther than he knew. Before her death, Aarushi had uploaded copies of the recordings and documents to an encrypted cloud, along with a detailed summary of the illegal coral smuggling network. A link was already scheduled to be sent to a journalist if she didn't cancel the alert within a month. While Dylan moved on, the system she designed continued its work in the background. At the same time, there were whispers among the staff. Some had noticed the missing cameras, the repositioned security schedules, and the sudden reassignment of guards. Others remembered Aarushi asking questions about the restricted shipments. A sense of unease settled across the workers, especially those who never believed the marriage was as perfect as it appeared. One woman, in particular Isabella, the resort's assistant manager, had always admired Aarushi's courage. She suspected her death was not an accident. She began to quietly collect information of her own. Meanwhile, the journalist in Los Angeles received an anonymous package. Inside were photos taken by Isabella on the night of the disappearance. The images were grainy but clear enough to identify Dylan walking near the lagoon cottage alone, wet up to his waist at a time when he claimed to be asleep. The timestamp on the photos matched the weather reports and the moment Aarushi vanished. Combined with the evidence in the recordings, it was more than suspicious. It was condemning. A month after the tragedy, a series of international articles were published. They exposed the illegal coral trade, the hidden shipments, and the financial records. They hinted at a larger criminal network operating under the disguise of tourism. Dylan's resort quickly became the center of global attention. Investors withdrew their support, travel companies canceled partnerships, and environmental agencies demanded an immediate investigation. The glamorous resort that once represented paradise now symbolized corruption and death. It didn't take long for the authorities to return to Bora Bora. They reopened the case with fresh eyes and new evidence. Dylan was no longer the grieving husband. He was the prime suspect. The authorities searched the property again, seized his devices, and questioned every staff member. Under pressure and fear, several workers confessed what they saw that night. The image of a perfect marriage shattered forever. Dylan was arrested and charged with murder, illegal trade, and conspiracy. The very recordings he feared became the reason for his downfall. The resort closed permanently, turning into a symbol of lost innocence and hidden crimes. Even though Aarushi was gone, her voice continued speaking through the evidence she protected. Her truth traveled farther than her life, reaching people across the world. Her story became a documentary, a warning, and an unforgettable reminder of how deeply secrets can destroy the world built to hide them.